Please tell me those aren't real refs. Please tell me they took homeless people off the street, gave them a sour, put them in zebra stripes, and told them, have fun. Because, my God, I do not want to put up with what I just saw all season long. Good Lord. You know, I wasn't going to be making a video recapping a preseason game. I really wasn't. I thought I was just gonna watch the game, get my fix of football for a while, and be good with it. Not really report till I had to do some season predictions or whatever in like 3-4 weeks. But this game's kind of forced my hand, and I have to talk. There's quite a few things, and I will be recapping the actual game, saying what I thought of the Bears and the Ravens, because that has to be part of it. But first, let's go to the refs. As you might have guessed, they sucked. Bad. Like, first of all, it only happened once, but it was bad, is their interpretation of the catch rule. Now, changing the catch rule? Good, I guess, if it gets them to understand what a catch is. I mean, random people watching football seem to have a better idea of what a catch is and don't need the rule changed for them to know that. But maybe if the rule is changed, the refs will understand it better. No, because one time, RG3, he threw, I think it was 1 interception that game, and it should have been none, because that was not an interception. That was not a catch. I mean, during the instant replay, you can clearly see a moment where he has neither hand really on the ball. The thing's moving around, it's touching the ground, before he then cleans back to it. I mean, that cannot be a catch. I know the rules say there's no more surviving the ground stuff, but you have to keep better control than that. You have to actually have control of the ball at some point where it's not just completely out of your hands when it taps the ground. That was a really bad call. Like, even the people in the commentator's booth, they looked at it and were like, I can see either way. And I'm like, you guys were perfect about this last year. Every time it was a catch, you thought it was a catch. Every time it wasn't, you said it wasn't. You were so good at this last year, and now you miss the most blatant bad call I've ever seen. And worst off, that's how they introduced their new head of officiating for their department or whatever. An old coach, very well respected, and he says the same thing. He thinks it's going to stand as an interception. Like, how? The ball's out of his hands, it's jostling on the ground, and you call that an interception. You call that a catch. If that's what we have to deal with, things are going to be even more controversial than before, because it's going to be so much easier to catch the ball now. And the next one, the much more important one, is the enforcement of the new helmet rule. First of all, they are not consistent. Like, I saw a lot more cases where I thought, oh, they could call that for the helmet call. Now, I'd have to see it in slow motion to see if it was a proper call, but I saw so many cases where I thought, oh, that can be called. Oh, that could be called. that looks just the same as everything else they did call, but no call. And, I understand the refs don't see everything. It's foolish to expect that. But when some random dude's eyes catch that without even looking for it, time and time again, there's a problem. And of course, it was all against the defense, just like everyone knew it would be. And I think they did make one correct call on it, but there were two of them out there that were just bad. For instance, the very first one. Yeah, the first one they did, they screwed it up. Like, yes, the guy lowers his head. Yes, it glances off the other guy's helmet. But the other guy's doing a squat. What am I supposed to do as a tackler? Can I not go down? Am I supposed to let him blow out my knees? No, I have to go down there with him. And if our helmets touch, our helmets touch. There's no way to avoid that. And, everyone knew a vague rule would be a problem. And guess what? Vague rule, it was a problem. And the other one, which is just mind-boggling to me, is the one that happened in the end zone, where the receivers jumped up to get the ball. I think he doesn't even get it. Or maybe he does, I'm not sure. Not important. A defender comes into him completely vertical. Like, they're parallel with each other. He runs into him, and the helmet penalty is called. Like, how did he lower his helmet? They're both parallel to each other. They're vertical. That's not possible. I mean, I don't know why that was called. I don't think that'll be called very often that way. I hope. But, good God, was it bad? Like, it even made the commentators question it, and they were having a terrible day. But I'll get into that later. I mean, if that's gonna... And someone, I believe in a comment section, brought it up that, well, now receivers can just run down the middle. They can just run into the middle, and they'll either catch it or draw the penalty, because there's, like, no other way other than to lead with your head. And I find that pretty true. So any team that likes to run down the middle, do some short stuff a lot, they're going to have a big advantage. Now, that may sound like a certain New England team to you, because they happen to have no deep threats anymore and have always loved the short passing game, so yeah, they're going to take advantage of this big time. And after the catch crap, after the helmet crap, they just missed everything. Like, I watched the O-lines, especially on the Ravens side, and the commentators brought it up. Man, this has been a really penalty-free Hall of Fame game. Usually there's like 30, but today there's only 11. Yeah, only 11. But why was that? They refused to call holding. Like, I watched the Ravens. I watched Orlando Brown, who was apparently hyped up as a great tackle. Ravens, you better hope he's not your starter, because good God, he could not stop holding, and the refs never called him on it. Like, he's got his hands wrapped around, clenched around his opponent's pads like this the whole time. And I even see jersey tugs from him, and it never gets called. And I'm just like, what is going on? I have seen holding calls that are very obviously not holding calls, and here he is holding the guy as blatantly as he possibly could. One time even putting one into a chokehold when he got past, and the refs do nothing. And all throughout, I see them do block in the back after block in the back, and it never gets called. I don't understand what happened. I mean, maybe the refs are rusty, but again, random guy, no training in this whatsoever, not looking for it, sees it constantly. These guys are professionals. What is wrong with them? But, as I might have mentioned before, it wasn't just the refs. There were also the commentators. Usually these guys are good. They really are good most of the time. Tonight, they were tools. I mean, good God. Like, the first point was that they just supported that bad interception. Like I said, they've been good about calling what's a call and what's not a call. Then they do this and support it wholeheartedly. Like, what? No, what is wrong with you? And all throughout, they're trying to defend that helmet rule like it's a good thing. And it's very clear it's not, and they keep defending it. Now, they did kind of question the call on that end zone one, but they only mildly questioned it. Usually they go a lot further. And it just makes me wonder, what happened? How much did the NFL pay them to just shut up and support them? Because this was bad. They're constantly supporting what's very obviously a bad rule, and they're barely questioning it when that bad rule is badly enforced. But what really pisses me off is how they treated Terrell Owens. Like, they kept blaming him, them and Tony Dungy, saying, it's a self-inflicted wound. He should have been here. He should have been here. He should have been here last year. How about that? Second or third best wide receiver of all time. Like, how does that not get first ballot? He has the right to be pissed because he should have been here and you're attacking him. Like, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Joe Montana. Imagine if one of them wasn't a first ballot. That would piss people off. Well, guess what? Same thing for Terrell Owens. And he's not first ballot because he's a loudmouth? He expresses himself more? I don't necessarily like him, but he was first ballot through and through. More than Ray Lewis, more than Brian Urlacher. Like, him and Randy Moss, they were the two best in here. Now, Ray Lewis, definitely still a first ballot. Same for Brian Urlacher. But Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, they were a step above. I mean, T.O. has every right to be pissed. Every single one. And these commentators are just not even trying to see his side like they usually claim to do. They're just attacking him. And it pisses me off. Like, good God, people. Stop. Stop. Don't take the NFL's money. Stick to your morals. But that's the end of what pisses me off. That's the reason I made this video. Now let's evaluate the game itself. Neither of these teams really played the starters, except maybe the Ravens with Orlando Brown and Hayden Hurst. But really, no starters. We're looking at the backups. I thought we would see Mitch Trubisky today. I think we should have seen him because he's still technically unproven, but we'll roll with what we have, I guess. So, for the Bears, what did I take away from you guys? You have no depth. Good God. Your receivers, guys who were on the team, starters last year, they were on this backup team, and they can't catch to save their lives. Like, Wims, I think it's Javon Wims. He was the only one who looked decent out there. He was the only one that looked good. And, that's not against very good competition either. He's not standing out at all. He's just the only piece of competence among receivers that are just completely incompetent. And yes, these aren't the starters. The starters are probably better. But injuries happen. A starter goes down. There's no one to replace them. And that's usually how it is, but most teams have something at backup receiver. Most of them have better than wins, better than completely unproven. And also, Bears, you don't have any running back depth. You have Jordan Howard, you have Tariq Cohen, and then you have a fat white guy who's not fast and not powerful. That's what you got. That's what you got to deal with. And it's not good. Not good at all. I think there was this other guy called Cunningham. Nothing impressed me, and he was kind of just a side note the whole time. I mean, the Bears, you might have depth in other places, like defense. Your defense looked good. Receivers, running backs, one of those from either goes down, you're going to have a tough time. Now, the other part of that I noticed was the Bears' backup QBs. Now, obviously, the receivers weren't that good, so I'm taking this into account and making the QBs were better than they looked out there. And you know what? Bears QBs are pretty good throwers. They put it mostly where it needs to be, considering their backups. And they're good throwers. One problem. They have no awareness. Good God. Like, if someone was coming clean and at them, they would only notice if they were directly in front of them. Otherwise, just blind to the world. And you can say, yeah, they'll get better at that, but 4 years of high school. For backup quarterbacks like them, probably 3-4 years of college. So 7 or 8 years to figure out pocket presence and awareness, and you've still got nothing. That's not going to get fixed. These guys, they're backups, fortunately. Mitch Trubisky shouldn't get hurt. But if they do, just blitz the Bears. You'll beat them. It's just how it's going to be. Now, when they did see the pressure, especially the last guy they brought out, he was really good against it. When he saw the pressure, he could get that ball out quickly to his receiver and fairly accurately, all things considered. The problem, of course, is that he doesn't see it. So, if Mitch Trubisky goes down, Bears are sunk completely. But, of course, that's not too big a deal because that's most teams in the NFL. And the Bears actually have a better starting point than most because most teams, second and third stringers, aren't good throwers and have no awareness. So, Bears aren't too bad off on quarterbacks, really. But there's the other half that was victorious, the Ravens. And the first thing I have to note is I hope those weren't your starting offensive tackles. I really hope they weren't. They were bad. They were really bad. Like, Orlando Brown, as much as the commentators tried to hype him up, yeah, he was holding time after time, and I assume the refs are going to call him on it at some point. And I just saw presser after presser on RG3 and Lamar Jackson, and that one white guy who showed up at the end of the second half for no reason. I saw it happen time and time, and I just thought, thank God these guys are mobile. Otherwise, they would be sacked so frequently. Like, if that's what Joe Flacco has to deal with, if those were your starting offensive tackles, you're going to have a bad time. Joe Flacco is going to be replaced with Lamar Jackson just because he's going to be sacked constantly. Like, Ravens, like most teams, they always go in with hope. And I've always dashed it, and there's always a reason. If those were your starting tackles, that's going to be my reason. And next off, I go to RG3, who was a lot better than I expected. Like, he's a really good thrower, and he's really good at escaping. He did an excellent job in both. He threw that interception, but again, it shouldn't have been an interception. If he does go to third stringer on this team, because of Lamar Jackson being the Ravens' pick, and they don't keep him, he can go somewhere else and he might win the starting job. He did a good job with relatively poor receivers. Now that said, he's slowed down. It's pretty clear to see that him and Lamar Jackson, he's here, Jackson's here. I mean, Joe Flacco's down here, but point still stands that RG3's not as fast as he used to be, so he's smarter than he used to be. And I think being smarter is much more important. I think if RG3 was given a team, he'd do all right. Now, as for Lamar Jackson himself, it was a shaky day. 4 of 10, touchdown, interception. Lots of running yards, though. You got that. And Lamar Jackson, he did pretty well on the easy throws. Sometimes you see quarterbacks be good on that. Sometimes you see them be bad on that. But the real test is when the difficulty is notched up by 1. And when they notched up the difficulty by 1, Lamar just sucked. Flat out. He was not accurate. His timing was bad. And you can say, yes, we'll fix that. He has been playing football for like 4 years of high school. 2, 3, maybe 4 years of college. So you're looking at 6 to 8 years where he didn't fix it. And you guys have 1 month. 1 month to fix it. Good luck. And also, he is a very athletic person. There's no doubt he's fast. There's no doubt he's good at avoiding stuff. And he's actually got a decent bit of power, all things considered. But there's a little problem. He's not good at escaping pressure. Like, his instincts aren't actually as good as people say they are. He gets away with some of that because he's just faster than everybody else. But when it comes to actually moving in the pocket, escaping the pressure, I just thought, this is a mobile quarterback? This is our runner of the future? What? He's not doing that good. Now, when he takes off to run, he does a good job of it, but he was not good at avoiding pressure. And again, you got 1 month to fix what 6 to 8 years could not accomplish. That's probably not going to be fixed, especially because it's not something you fix. It's something you just grow into. So he has to grow in 1 month in ways he has never grown in 6 to 8 years. So Lamar Jackson, he's definitely not there yet. Could he be? Yeah. Right now, though, he looks exactly like he did in college, and I didn't like what he looked like in college. Now, Ravens fans, I give your team so much crap. Like, 2 years ago, your team started out 4-0. I said, yeah, you guys are probably going to go 8-8. And you guys went 7-9. So I was right, but I kind of gave you crap. The next year, I gave you crap. This year, I'll be giving you crap. But for today, I'll leave you off on some good news. Your first pick, your real first pick, Hayden Hurst, he's pretty good. Like, he made those power catches with his strong hands that he was meant to. That we knew he would, that we needed him to make. He's gonna be there. He's gonna be a solid receiver for you. He's obviously good at blocking. He's got the body for it. And, yeah, Ravens, you might have messed up with Lamar Jackson. But Hayden Hurst, you did good. So that's all for now. I don't intend to do NFL videos till this real season's about to start. I just felt I had to get this one out. Because the refs, the commentators, and there was some fairly decent stuff in the game. Till next time, I'll see you later. Bye.